What is up, you guys? This is Super Sega Ultra 1997 here, and I thought I'd do another collection video, and this time it's the Super Nintendo collection. I didn't really do a Super Nintendo collection until now. I did one last year in August, around the time the trailer for No Way Home came out, so, and then, that was the last time I did a collection video for the Super Nintendo, but, anyways, before I get started with the games, I think I like to show off the console. As you can see, my Super Nintendo has some issues now. Every time I try to play a Super Nintendo game on this thing, the image quality looks kind of like shit, and it's in black and white and doesn't look really good. It doesn't look all that great. So I'm gonna have to buy a new Super Nintendo, maybe hopefully at some point, and one that is not completely pissed yellow all that much. I bought this Super Nintendo for like 50 bucks, I want to say, in 2016, I want to say. That was around the time I bought the Super Nintendo. It's a great system. It has a lot of good games on it, like the Genesis. You know, I just have more games for the Genesis than I do on the Super Nintendo. Games I'm on the lookout for Super Nintendo are Ninja Warriors, uh, Jim Lee's Wildcats, and what else? What else am I looking on the lookout for? And those are the only two I could come up with, actually, that I can think of. Are those two games? And maybe Final Fight 3, even though I have that downloaded on my Wii U. When I haven't used that thing in like fucking ages. But here's the console itself. So there's that. And then now we get to the actual games. And let's start off with my only boxed Super Nintendo game I got. Contra 3 Alien Wars. Right up there with the likes of fucking Contra Hard Corps. This is a good running gun, I'd say. Probably one of the best, and I will admit that the overhead view bonus levels, those are not like the best parts of the game. But the 2D like side-scrolling running gun segments, oh yeah, definitely the best part of the game. As you can see, the box has seen better days in some areas, but the cart and the manual are in flawless condition. I would show you, but I'm not in the mood to pull it out right now. But yeah, Contra 3 Alien Wars. Now let's get to our loose carts. Starting off, we got Super Mario World, a game that came out. This game was a launch title for the Super Nintendo in 1991. All-time classic Mario game. And of course, I can't wait for that Mario movie. I might actually watch that. I don't give a fuck. F-Zero. F-Zero, I got this for $5, 2017. $5. And you can probably find this one relatively cheap, so I'd say it's worth it. Contra Super Castlevania 4. This game is an all-time masterpiece. Hadn't beaten it though, but I do want to try to beat it one day. Great game. Honestly, really great game. Hard as hell. Mortal Kombat 2. Other than the 32X version, I think this one has to be the second best version. The second best home version of Mortal Kombat 2. It trumps and it shits on the Genesis version a lot. Not to say that the Genesis version's bad. It's just this version feels more closer to the arcade, personally. Alright. Then we got Batman Returns. Go for this one. If not counting the Sega CD version, if you want a really good home version of Batman Returns, the game that's based off the movie, go with this one. Stay away from the Genesis version. That version is shit. Then we got Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Despite omitting the opening of the game where you see two dudes beat the shit out of each other in the streets, despite omitting that opening cinematic in this version, I actually like this one better than Champion Edition on Genesis. I'm not saying I wonder how Champion Edition on the PC Engine's like, because I heard that's also like a very good version of that too. Tetris 2, not as good as the original, but I have it. Final Fantasy 3, which is actually part 6. Here, other than part 7, I hear this is like one of the best JRPGs of all time. ActRaiser, another game that I think this came out like a little bit after the launch of the Super Nintendo. This came out in 1991. And, it's alright. and Maximum Carnage. I like this version more than the Genesis version, actually. The punches and the sound effects feel more natural here than they do on the Genesis version, in my personal opinion. And this is an awesome beat 'em up. I recommend checking it out. One of the few LJN games that's actually not shit. And that was that. Now we get to stack 2. And first, let me just scoop these right here. There we go. That way we get more space. There we go. Next one up for stack 2. This is Turtles in Time. Excellent beat 'em up. Legendary beat 'em up. I love this game. Sorry about that. I love this game. And you can actually play this on the Cowabunga collection now. So, and I also got that on PS5 and Switch. Same with this one, Tournament Fighters. This one feels a little bit unbalanced to some degree. I mean, it is, but it's still a way better version to play than the Genesis version, despite some of the difficulty being super unbalanced. The Donkey Kong Country trilogy, Donkey Kong Country 1, Donkey Kong Country 2, and Donkey Kong Country 3. Out of the 3 trilogy, I think Part 2 is actually the all-time classic, the all-time best. The first one's pretty good, and also the third one's also pretty decent. Then we got my only T-rated game I have for the Super Nintendo, Killer Instinct. And it's also in black, so that's pretty cool. Rival Turf, got that for 25 bucks. It's an okay beat 'em up, but Brawl Brothers is actually the better game, I think. I don't have Peacekeepers, but I do plan to look for that one. And of course, Brawl Brothers. Here's what I need to say about this one. This one's actually very good. And there's actually a code where you can actually play the Japanese version off here. And the Japanese version's way better because the sewer level is not really confusing in the Japanese version like how it is in the US version. Hence, I say that because there's like different paths where you try to look for where you need to go and it got confusing. So yeah, definitely the Japanese version's a lot easier in that aspect. Alright, the next one we got is Buster's Bust Loose Tiny Toon Adventures. The only Tiny Toons games I still have. I wasn't really a big fan of Buster Sin Treasure on the Genesis, to be quite honest. I know people like that game, but I honestly did not get into it. Maybe I will try it again on a later date, but we'll see. Alright, third stack. Super Mario Kart. The very first Mario Kart. Classic. Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. And that's classic. Mega Man X, the only Mega Man game I have in my Super Nintendo collection. This was a flea market pickup for 25 bucks. $25 in 2017 or 2018. I forget when I got it, but yeah. I do want to get part 2 as well, but I don't know when I'll get that, but I will get it. X3 though, I don't think I'm ever gonna buy that game, honestly, because that game's super expensive. Saturday Night Slam Masters. I like this version. Also, just like Maximum Carnage, I do prefer this version more over the Genesis version. Not say that Genesis version's bad. It's still a decent version, but I just like this one more. That's just me, though. But good game on both systems, honestly. Star Fox. The very first Star Fox, 25 bucks in 2017. It's classic. Who doesn't love Star Fox? UN Squadron. This is actually a pretty decent shoot 'em up from Capcom, actually. And this game came out in 1991, and it's actually based off an anime and a manga called Area 88. In fact, I have not seen that anime to this very day, but I hear a lot of things about it, and that's one of the main reasons why I got this game. And it's actually not that expensive, I don't think. You can probably pick this one up for like a good $20 to $30, so I don't think it's that bad. I recommend it. But it's a bit tricky though, but yeah. And of course, another all-time classic, Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. I gotta have that. Gotta get the classics in your collection. Then we got Timon and Pumbaa's, what was this one? Timon and Pumbaa's Jungle Game. This is actually a port of the PC version. Fucking, what the fuck, man? Focus, you bastard. There you go. This is actually a port, and it's based off the PC version of this game. Amen. Of course, if you're gonna play this game, play the PC version. This version's actually shit, but I got it because it's actually. I only bought this because it's actually one of the few Super Nintendo games that came out in 1997, if you can believe that. Yeah, 97 on the Super Nintendo. And of course, last but not least, for the American games at least, this is Super Battle Tank War Golf. This is my uncle's game, so I don't really care too much for it. Alright, that's about it for the American games. Now, to end it off, let's show off some of the Japanese Super Famicom games. Now, the Super Famicom collection should be a little bit more interesting. First one we got for that is Dragon Ball Z Super Bototen 3 and Super Bototen 2. Now, I don't have the first game. I do intend on getting the first game. The first game isn't even all that expensive. It's like $8 or some shit. You can actually find some Super Famicom games for like super cheap, and this is actually one of them. But out of the two, I recommend Part 2 more over the third game, because I feel like Part 2 has more content than the third game, honestly. And I've been a diehard DBZ fan since it aired on Cartoon Network years ago. If you've seen some of my previous videos, you'll know why. But yeah, if you're gonna go with any of them, I recommend Part 2. Then next one we got is another anime-based game. This is Yu Yu Hakusho Final. Of course, this is a great game, way better than Dark Tournament on PS. So I'm not gonna lie, dude. Dark Tournament was fucking garbage, but this is actually one of the good ones. And this is actually based off the Four Kings arc, or whatever the fuck the final arc for Yu Yu was called. The Three Kings arc, actually. Yeah, I think that's what it was called, the Three Kings arc. And it's has most of the characters from that, as well as like some of the characters from Chapter Black, like Shinobu Sensui and all that. If you're a diehard Yu Yu fan, I recommend playing this. This is such a great game. It's actually pretty good. Actually, I like this one a little bit more over Meikyo Toitsusen on the Mega Drive. That's just me personally. But yeah, and actually this one's not that expensive. You can find this one for like $20 or something. I recommend it, especially if you're a fan of Yu Yu Hakusho, like I am. And of course, we all know Yoshihiro Togashi would also later go on to do Hunter x Hunter, which that's a masterpiece in itself. So yeah, Yu Yu Hakusho Final, excellent game. And now I know these next two games are going to be like, oh, you're such a faggot. Oh, man, you love Butthole. I mean, let me explain. This is the Sailor Moon beat-em-ups. This is Pretty Soldier Sailor Moon R, which is by Soju Shinchi Sailor Moon R. This is actually the sequel to this game. But I actually bought this one. I want to say if you remember my May pickup video, this is a good game and all. It is. It's a great game. It's just, it's fucking hard. It's a beat 'em up, but it's pretty good. I love me some beat 'em ups. Sure, it's no Streets of Rage 2 or fucking Final Fight or Double Dragon or anything like that. But for what it is, it's actually alright, and it's an alright game. I like it. I recommend it. I may not be the biggest fan of the anime, but the game actually isn't that bad. I recommend it. Actually, it's not even that expensive, too. You can probably get both of these for like $20 each, I want to say. I got this for exactly $20, this one. So, yeah. Pretty Soldier Sailor Moon R is pretty good, but it's also kind of hard, too. But this one, though, this one is actually pretty decent, too. And this also came out for the Mega Drive, too. And unlike the Mega Drive version, this one you can find for very cheap. Very, very cheap. And from what I played, it's okay. I just prefer the Mega Drive one more. By Soju Shinchi Sailor Moon. Decent beat 'em up. Oh, this game here is fucking garbage. This is that one Ranma 1/2 game. There was actually quite a few Ranma 1/2 games that did come out for the Super Famicom and Super Nintendo. This one is not one of the good ones. This one is absolute shit. This game is trash, and I don't like it. But I need to get the other two, or the other three. I forget how many of these there were for the Super Famicom. And this one was so bad that it even got its name changed, and they even changed it to a different game called Street Combat on the Super Nintendo, the American Super Nintendo. And if you find this one out in the wild, I do not recommend it, especially if you're a fan of the Ranma 1/2 anime. That's just me, though. Then we got 2 more games left. This is the Carve-On Shooting Collection, which is basically 8-bit Super Famicom games and a Super Famicom cartridge. 8-bit Famicom shmups and a 16-bit Famicom cartridge. Enough said. And last but most certainly not least, this is Fatal Fury Special. Well, you know, it's from Takara and all that. It's an alright version. I think it plays just fine. I got this during the pandemic, around 2020. I bought this around, I want to say it was like $15 or something. I don't remember the exact price, but I'm guessing that was how much I paid for this one. For what it is, it's okay. It's not as good as the Neo Geo versions. That's for sure. It's not as good as the Neo Geo versions of you know, this game. But for what it is, for what it is, it's alright. And just like that, that's about it for my Super Nintendo / Super Famicom collection. I just wanted to do a quick collection video. I will be getting some more games at some point, as soon as I can replace this Super Nintendo right here, man. Because like I said, this Super Nintendo is starting to have some fucking issues now. And whenever it fucking plays a game, it normally plays it in black and white, and it fucking does like that swirly effect sometimes, where you know how Super Nintendos are when they age pretty badly. And when I play a game on there, it makes it unplayable. So I'm gonna have to look for a new Super Nintendo very soon. Anyways, you guys, this is Super Sega saying signing out. Have a good night. Peace out.